this morning as we begin conversations again about critical socio-political issues in our country. My name is Yagazi Obiwanne Ozalo.
And I am Chioma Omasamba. Good morning, esteemed parliamentarians.
Good morning, parliamentarians. Join us again. Bring your informed opinions as we begin the conversation today. We have something on the plate today. We believe that your insights would help us to have a very robust conversation. Recall that last week we began conversations on what's going on in Osun State with regards to the elections that would happen on August 15, 2026. And we talked about how the secretary to the state government was apprehended by the police and how Governor Adeleke has been crying out about persecution against his party and, members of his administration as the elections draw nearer. And we had a very interesting conversation here that day. We return to Osun State again today. We're now just 10 days away from that election, and the election, of course, is continuing to generate a lot of controversy. Just yesterday, we got wind of some of the things that Ademola Adeleke, the governor, has said, and pointedly directed to the president of the federation with regards to that election. During the campaign trail, he was on, campaign and made some statements that have now made headlines across the nation. So yeah, Governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, warned President Bola Tinubu not to allow rigging in the August 15 governorship election in the state or risk political violence as witnessed in 1983. So yeah, the governor was addressing supporters at Orita Sabo in Olorunda local government area of Osun State on Monday and said the president must wake up to his responsibility of protecting the people from police harassment. According to the governor, the president is watching without concern. The political crisis in Osun is being perpetrated by the president's party chieftains, despite the fact that the Accord party has endorsed the president as their presidential candidate for 2027. He said, Mr. President, I want you to take note of my words. I am the Chief Security Officer of Osun. You are a Yoruba man and Osun is Yoruba land, yet your party chieftains are perpetrating political violence while you look the other way. Mr. President, all we demand for is free and fair election. If anybody tries to do otherwise, the political crisis of 1983, when some people tried to rig Michael Ajasi in Ondo State out of power, may repeat itself. Let's just take a listen to what Adeleke had to say and we'll return to continue.
This message to you, Osun will not accept any rigging. We will go out en masse and vote and defend our vote. Mo tún ìpìtẹ́ ẹ wá jẹ́ kí n tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní 1983 tó ṣẹlẹ̀. President Tinubu, Osun people and company have endorsed you as our presidential candidate. Why are we suffering? Why is our money being kept? Oyetola need to be called to order. Free and fair election. That's it. President Tinubu, I'm saying to you, Kenya Piki Osunse, I am the Chief Security Officer of Osun State. President Tinubu, I am passing this message to you. We will go out en masse and vote and defend our vote. Mo tún ìpìtẹ́ ẹ wá jẹ́ kí n tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní 1983 tó ṣẹlẹ̀.
Ademola Adeleke there, directly telling the president to put his men on a leash, literally with regards to the 2026 Osun State governorship elections. Although the APC has, reacted to all of those comments by Governor Ademola Adeleke. The APC has said that the governor is resorting to inflammatory rhetorics and allegations against President Bola Tinubu and other party leaders out of fear of defeat in the 15 August governorship election. Says the party's reaction is, rather, Ademola Adeleke's reaction is due to fear, saying that he should focus on the issues on ground and stop imagining political persecution in the state. Some of the things that Ademola Adeleke said there is release our money, why are we suffering, our money is being kept. He's referring to a prolonged political and legal dispute with the federal government over, statutory local government allocations for Osun State. Osun State has about 30 local government councils. It's said that for over 15 months now, their statutory allocations have been withheld or delayed, and the monies accruing to them that has not been paid so far are estimated to be around 202 billion naira. Since February of 2025, it's said that they've not received those statutory funds. Anyways, we'll delve into this conversation this morning, and we'll reach out to our friend over there in Osun State who will join us this morning to understand, help us understand what the atmosphere is like in Osun State.
We're being joined. We're being joined virtually by Mr. Olalekun Akinbeju, who is the Secretary of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Osun State Chapter. Good morning, Mr. Olalekun. Good to have you.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning, Olalekun. Thank you so much for joining us. Things are getting really fiery in Osun State. The governor, I don't know if you heard the clip that I played, he said a lot of things calling on the president to, allow them be, that there's a lot of police intimidation in Osun State. Last week we discussed it, the SSG being arrested and accused of several things, including election practice and all whatnot. Let's get a feel of what's going on in Osun State at this point in time. Has the SSG now been released? What's the tension like in terms of building up to this election?
So yes, the SSG has been released. It was released the second day, day after it was arrested and detained by the police command in Osun State. But I should also state very clearly that the tension, the political tension in the state is still very high.
Okay.
The people are afraid. It's as a result, and you heard from the governor of the state, Ademola Adeleke, speaking about the way things have been going in the past few weeks in the state. It appears that his party is bearing a lot of the brunt and are receiving aid largely, I should say, because it's not just tension on one side of the party, it's tension on, find actors on both sides, the APC and the Accord party that the governor belongs to. But with regards to the speech of the governor, whereby speaking at the campaign rally, it was it appeared as if the governor had grown so frustrated with the situation in the state. That was why he had to make a direct appeal to the president, tell the president to ensure that he waits in. But it was not the first time, because I remember very, very clearly that just last week, on Thursday, when the peace accord was signed, the governor's speech was also directed at the president, saying that the president must call his party members in Osun State to order, because it appears as if, and it wasn't just words for the president alone, there were words, strong words for the police force, saying that the police must be neutral in this particular election, because it appeared as if the allegations that were raised by the governor included him saying that about 60 members of his party had been picked up in the state and taken to Abuja, and some were had been landed in Kuje, the others at Kepi, in Nasarawa State. Those were some of the things we're saying. And of course, we've been speaking to the police force about what's going on. Before now, months back, there had been calls for the IGP to deploy the commissioner of police in the state, saying that he had not been neutral, but those calls were not eventually heeded. The IGP had to come down, and he tried to ensure that detention was brought under control. That did not happen. It's continued.
Yeah.
But so many stakeholders in the state have been raising concerns about what is going on, and they've been appealing to both sides to ensure that peace is allowed during this process.
All right, Mr. Akindoji, the governor, Demola Adeleke, his warning is saying that any attempt to rig the August 15 governorship election would amount to what happened in 1983. Now, would you view the political tension as something that may snowball to what turned out in 1983?
I think I should say that that's been it's getting to the extreme if we would liken what's going on now to what happened in 1983, where there were attacks, because that period is still known as what they call wet here in this part of but we have to be very it's not I don't think it's going to get to that level, to that point where we have attacks and all of that. But we still continue to call on the actors. The people have called on them. They've been pressure. Even the NUJ have at several times called on them to ensure that there is peace. Because without a peaceful atmosphere, how do people vote? Because how do you have a free and fair vote? So those are some of the things. But
Yeah.
the governor is concerned, and rightly so, because so many, aside from arrests, they've been killings in the state.
Yeah.
As at the last count, up to about 15.
15.
Yes, the people that have been killed during this process.
When,
And
when you say people that
a
have been
number of
killed,
them are linked to the political tension and violence that's going on in the state.
All right, with regards to the people of Ocean State who are supposed to be voting in, the elections that are to come, um, what's the feel like for the people? Because you've talked about this violence. I think Governor Adeleke also mentioned it in that speech. He said a lot of things. He had, a long part of the speech where he spoke in Yoruba, particularly, right? Speaking to Mr. President, telling him that a court party has endorsed him. Why are they still suffering in Osun State? With regards to the people themselves, what's the feel like? How would you say the people feel about the elections that are coming up?
So I can say it's in both ways. There seems to be some level of fear. People are afraid. But I still also see that it appears that even amidst the fear, these people are determined. Because speaking to them, I've done a lot of vox pops, and spoken to people across the state about what's going on. They are determined to say they will come out. They will ensure that they participate. But I hope that because if this continues up until the election day, then definitely the people will not come out. So people are banking on the tension
Subsiding.
subsiding.
Yeah.
Yes. So that it gets to a point where they are also able to come out to vote. Because why I'm saying this is because of, if you look at the statistics of INEC, as at the last time, the new people who registered to get their PVCs, about 70% of them have collected it already as at this time. So it means that people are really, really determined. They are not concerned. They are worried. They are concerned
Okay.
about what is going on. But they're saying that that's nothing we can tell them. So I hope that eventually translates into them coming out on the election day. That's just what we are hoping. Because if they do not come out, then it's also an avenue to manipulate the poll.
Okay. one other thing, the thing he mentioned about withholding of funds for Osun State local governments, it's a continuing contest, isn't it? I think it's in the courts still, but for 15 months now, according to reports, Osun State has not been getting the statutory local government funds. Can you tell us more about this and how it has, affected governance in Osun State, maybe, and maybe how it's going to affect this election?
Yes, it has greatly impacted the governance negatively because what it means is that for over 15 months, the local governments have not been run properly. We've seen two parties being claimed to
To
the local
leadership at the
government.
local government,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So that is what is going on. Though the issues are still in court, we're still waiting for the final termination of what is going on. But it appears that um, the parties are not willing to ensure that there's a resolution to the crisis. So we are hoping to see that after the election on August 15, if a winner is declared, or when a winner is declared, we hope that will also lay put to rest what is going on at the local council, the crisis, because this started as a result of the battle for the soul of the state, because it appears that you find the party that is looking to ensure that it holds on to the seat, and while another is backing to seize power from the incumbent. So that's what we're seeing now. We hope that that's also resolved because it has really, really impacted. But you really cannot see so much of development at the local councils. Though I must say that those who are supposed to be paid are being paid, and what the governor is saying that has been doing that from what has been accrued to the state. That's what he's using to pay the people who work at the local councils. But we do not have a lot of things happening there. It is really, really. If you go to the councils and you see that they are just empty. Nothing is happening there.
And I guess
So
there is still some political tension in terms of who lays claim to what, the
yes,
PDP and the
yes, yes,
APC
yes,
and
yes.
all of that.
That is also having an impact on what is going on, because it is not just the tension that is starting now. It's something that dates back to about 15 months ago. So
Yeah.
it means that we've been having some tensions in the state since then, but it came to a head closest to this poll now.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Akinduju Olaleko. Thank you so much for your time. We hope that the elections in Osun State happen peacefully, because that's the end point of this. And the APC has said, that the governor is crying wolf too early, that 24 hours is enough for things to change in politics. He shouldn't, be playing victim in what's happening, that this is all politicking. But yeah, I hope that there is no violence in Osun State as the elections, draw nearer. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. That was Olalikon Akindoju, who is
The NUJ Secretary of Osun State Chapter. Thank you so much for your insights this morning. We get to our second guest who is in the studio with us. We have Barrister Dr. Chidi Anyekwe Esquire, who's international legal attorney and a human rights advocate. Glad to have you.
Thank you so much.
thank,
Having me.
thank you, sir, for joining us. I believe that what's playing out in Osun is interesting enough for you, to join us here and weigh in on it. I don't know how to describe it, but there's been a lot of back and forth between the governor and his Accord party, and of course the APC, who are challenging in that election. They look like both the front runners, Accord and APC. And then the governor has come out now to say that they are being intimidated. Elections are drawing closer. Some of his close allies are being, apprehended by the police and all of that. How do you view this as a human rights advocate in terms of, elections coming closer and some people are crying that police is intimidating them?
Actually, it's a really very unfortunate situation to have such scenario in our society because internationally, I've been part of elections like in America. Most times these elections are organized in a very peaceful manner. You might not really see police around.
Yeah.
Only when they may just come to pick up the ballot papers as packaged by those that conducted the elections. And the greatest problem we have in Nigeria is that everything is lumped together to the central. And most times when people relate with the central, they always feel that they're supposed to have everything. Like, I believe that's what is happening in Osun. Because the person that is the presidential candidate of APC, because he belongs to the president's party, tends to feel that he's supposed to be the governor of that state. And I believe because of that, all these tensions are coming up because even the federal controls the police, which is not really supposed to be. Personally, I want the police to be decentralized, even to the local government level, because it might, to an extent, call for transparency in these sort of issues. Because what they are trying to do now is to intimidate the voters. Because most times when people see that there's an element of violence going on, they might not be able to come out to vote. And by not coming out to vote, whoever will be able to do whatever he wants to do in order to usurp the election to their own advantage. And I think we've passed the stage in this country where people will always think that they have everything. Politics is supposed to be a game of chance, a game of luck, a game of majority. And folks must be able to allow the people to determine who governs them or who represents them in whatever capacity. When certain people think that it is their right, it is their birthright, it becomes very unfortunate because we're supposed to be moving forward, not supposed to be moving backwards. And police, unfortunately, siding any person or persons is a very unwelcome development in every society because it will help to cause chaos and make a lot of people not to have confidence in the police. And police is supposed to be an umpire in every circumstance, in every situation. They're not really supposed to side anybody. In America, once the president appoints probably whoever is going to appoint, those people swear an oath to protect the laws of the land, and that's exactly what they do. You are no more a stooge to the president. You are no more a stooge to the governor. You are no more a stooge to the local government chairman, as the case may be. Because in America, local governments have police, states have police, federal have police. And these guys, they walk pari passu. Once anybody does anything wrong, the necessary system of the law will always come in to take care of such persons.
But do you think that the police is taking side in Osun State with the build up to the elections? I don't know. The governor said that the arrest of party faithful, which the police have tried to debunk, that they arrested people, not necessarily people who are supporters of their Accord party or supporters of the governor of Osun State. But of course, they arrested also they raided the house of the saying it's the police doing their duties.
Actually, police have a right to arrest anybody. But the basic thing is that what are the essence of that arrest? Does that arrest conform to the laws of the land? Because for you to arrest a person of that status of SSG to the state, there must be a manifest criminal intention or criminal act. When there is no manifestation, it is quite unnecessary. What police could have done is to invite the man to question him either in one or two things. But for police to go into arresting is indirectly trying to intimidate the citizens of the state. Because once a person of that status has been arrested and some people are around you, then what people would now say, how much less us? So it's quite unbecoming of the police to show off such a bravado in arresting the SAG. What they could have done is to invite the SAG.
Yeah, they said there was a person of concern who was in that meeting and who was actually the target per se, and then they also said they recovered some things that they considered against the law: voter register, voter cards, about 2 voter cards in possession, within the place that they apprehended the SSG and his friends. So is that enough? Is that substantial reason enough to read?
It is not a substantial reason to arrest SSG. And besides, when you found something on somebody, you should be able to conduct an investigation. You should be able to ask questions. Because there could be circumstances that made whoever to have whatever.
Okay.
What police could have done is to invite them, question them, and things like that. There's procedures for this kind of issues. then if he gets it, because if police tries to do certain things, it doesn't mean that the police is no more an umpire. They are not taking sides. Police can be the judge and the prosecutor and everything at the same time. They
Okay.
should leave the judgment to the court to do that. If you arrest somebody, if you person somebody, and you now feel there's a prima facie case against the person, then you charge the person to court. I don't think it is enough for police to start arresting the SAG and other people, because it will amount to indirectly intimidating the citizens of the state, and which will not augur well to our political and democratic dispensation. Because we must be transparent. Police must be very transparent in whatever. Police must be an umpire. This country, we cannot afford to have a one-party state in this country. We must be able to allow a level playing field for the political parties, for everybody that needs to contest. To context.
All right, there are two contenders in this Osun State governorship election. Aside the governor, Ademola Adeleke of the Accord Party, we also have the former Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, that's Adeboyega Oyetola of the APC, vying for this particular seat on August 15. But the question here is this: there is usually this peace accord paper or documents that are being signed by all political parties vowing to ensure that all they will be able to conduct themselves in a peaceful manner ahead of the election. But the question here is this: after these signings, the question is, why would political parties agree to sign this peace accord, but at the end of the day, we see a different thing altogether? Do you think that is still valid to sign this peace accord? Sorry, a correction here. The APC governorship candidate is Oyebaniji. All right. So yes, go ahead.
Personally, the peace accord signed is even immaterial, because this election is being conducted within the Nigerian periphery, and most people that are partakers of this election are from the country or from the state. So when you are contesting something with your brother or your neighbor, do you need all these hula balloons? It's not really necessary. What you just need to do, maturity in us, maturity in our implementations of our system, those that are entrusted with enforcement of our laws must make sure that they do these things fair to everybody, to every party. And once they are encouraged to do these things fair to everybody, it will make the partakers of these elections to know that this thing is not meant for anybody alone. This is a democracy. This is politics. And when you are participating in politics, you mustn't expect to win at all times. You might lose, you might win. That's what it ought to be. And when we have that at the back of our minds, that we might lose or we might win, and that the police, the courts, and INEC are ready to do their jobs as it ought to be, there shouldn't be any need for signing of anything. People both can go on and sign something, and at the end of the day, advise their supporters to do a different thing. So, which is not what the society needs, which is not the democracy where we got it from. That's not the way they practice it.
Doesn't help the politics.
Doesn't have, yes.
Yeah. I think there's been allegations and counter allegations in terms of violence in Osun State building up to this election. The APC have, countered what the governor did say in terms of killings in Osun State against his supporters. Says over 30 APC members and supporters have been killed since 2022, including
APC or AC?
The APC are saying that
Okay.
over 30 APC members and supporters have been killed since 2022, including at least 10 of recent. This is according to one of their spokespersons, Mr. Oke, says it is rather ironic that Governor Adeleke now seeks to portray himself as a victim of political intimidation when since 2022, no fewer than 30 members and supporters of the APC have been killed, right? So it's, the APC's words against the Accord Party and the governor's words. But then, the thing that the governor said about 1983, warning that, there could be a repeat of 1983, which he referenced, right? The governor's warning is referring to the political crisis that followed the disputed 1983 elections in Old Ondo and Oyo states involving the defunct Unity Party of Nigeria and the National Party of Nigeria. And we know that that crisis contributed to the widespread unrest in the region and formed part of the tense political atmosphere preceding the military coup of 31st December 1983. So yes, Adeleke referring to that is something that the APC has also accused him of heating up the politics. We've had several things being said, particularly in the southwest. Whenever elections are there, we also had the governor of
Ogun State.
no, not Ogun State.
Oh, was it Ondo? But it's one of the
Governor
Western
states.
states.
Yes.
Western states.
Where is he, by the way?
Shey, is it
Sheyi
Oyo.
Makinde,
Oyo.
yes,
Oyo
yes.
State.
Governor
Oyo
Sheyi
State.
Makinde
Of
referred
Oyo
to
State.
Operation Waiting of 1962, thereabouts. All of them referring back to a very violent time in, the political trajectory of the Southwest in particular, whenever elections like this are coming up. What do you make of it? Because the governor categorically said, we in Accord Party have endorsed you, Mr. President, for presidency, allow us to have our way in terms of the governorship election. How do you see this affecting our politics? It's coming up too much, people saying we give the governor this opposition governors, but this we happened in Anambra State, for instance. Olude said we endorsed President Bola Tinubu, but this governorship election, APGA has to win it and all of that. How does this play out to you as an observer of what's happening?
Normally, the philosophers normally say there's no smoke without fire. When certain statements like this are being made, it doesn't supposed to be a democratic statement at all, because elections are supposed to be conducted, elections are supposed to be participated by members of various political parties.
Yeah.
Why these parties are being formed is for transparency, because when one particular party appoints, not elected this time, because when a particular party is controlling everywhere, it becomes like an appointment. And when it becomes an appointment, there could be like a lackadaisical attitude from those that are holding certain positions, because they felt, oh, we have everything, oh, there's no opposition, oh, there's no competition. Then they can always do whatever they want to do. But that's not the essence of democracy. The essence of democracy is for various people from various angles to participate.
Yeah.
And this participation will be by competition, by election. So once you step in there, you'll be able to appreciate that the masses gave you the mandate to do the job, and that job you must do for the interest of the people. Because when they started talking about giving president the go-ahead for him to be re-elected and all that, and governors want themselves to be re-elected, that means there's a compromise somewhere. And that compromise does not augur well for a society, does not augur well for politics, does not augur well for democracy.
Does it even really picture the electorate in all of what elections are about, right?
It does not at all, because they now neglected the electorates. They don't care about the electorates anymore. They're just caring about themselves. They're just caring about themselves, which is not supposed to be like that. Once there's a political party, there's an election, somebody must win, somebody must lose. When people have that at the back of their minds and reduce, government must find a way, either must find a way to discourage people from all these expenditures. And the salaries of these guys must be reduced to the barest minimum, so that it will not be a do or die affair anymore. Because they are making it a do or die affair. Because by the kind of money they even used to buy only forms, how many persons can afford that kind of money in a society like Nigeria, where cost of living is so high, transportation is so high, no security, no food, no nothing.
Yeah.
And people are there fighting to be representing the people. In a normal society, once you fail in whatever you are doing, you have to apologize to people and resign, because you're incompetent in the job. Once you're incompetent, you're incompetent. And what makes somebody incompetent? There are certain factors. Once the security, they are not able to do the security to organize a better security for the country or the state. The economy is bad, no job. These are things. These are factors we check in determining your level of performance.
Yeah.
If there is a lopsidedness in whatever you are doing, you should be able to wake up as a man and say, I'm resigning for this position because I'm incompetent to do this job. I've not been able to satisfy the people. We must allow the people to determine who rules. We must allow the people to give us a pass mark based on the votes they will count. Because these votes will come. If you perform very well, people definitely must vote for you. It's only left for you to tell the people what I have done and what I have not done. Even in our normal societies, in advanced societies, to determine your level of performance,
Yeah.
you must be able to pull people out of poverty. It's not by construction of roads. Construction of roads and things like that is inalienable right of the people. You must do it as a job because the monies are being budgeted for all these projects and it has to be done. And at the end of the day, you should be able to account for the money budgeted for roads, budgeted for electricity, budgeted for water, and things like that. But for you to be able to pull people out of poverty is the major characteristics of determining good governance. Economics is another major characteristic of determining good governance in advanced countries. Because when people are disenchanted, there's no job, there's no food, there's no security, then what are you doing?
And if the people are disenchanted, isn't it enough for them to also come out in mass and cast their votes despite whatever political tension that is out there?
Definitely, it's enough for people to come out together. But the thing is that what is going on now in Osun State is indirectly above intimidating the people from coming out to vote. That's exactly what they're trying to do. Because once people are noticing this level of violence going about, they might not be able to come out. They might not be able to come out because even if you wanted to come out, your wife or your brother or your husband or whatever will say, are you going out there? Did you hear that this person died?
Yeah.
Do you want to die? If you die, who do you leave these children for? Who do you leave this to? You know, things like that. It will not demoralize you from coming out.
Yeah, we talked about this, the political consciousness of the people yesterday on our program and talked about how people would determine who to vote for in 2027. But the bigger issue is whether or not people will come out and vote. And, Cardinal Olaiko said something about voter apathy, that it might be worse in the elections that would happen in 2027. And, this one is also a major election happening in Osun State. So it looks like the entire conversation about Osun governorship now revolves around whether or not there is political intimidation, police harassment, violence, instead of discussing the issues about, what is Ademola Adeleke's scorecard and what is Oyebamiji, right?
Yeah.
Bringing to the table. It's no longer what is, at the forefront of the conversations leading up to this election, and that's a major concern, right? It should be a major concern for you too.
Definitely, it is a major concern because they are now trying to distract the masses from the issues at stake. Because most times you have to discuss certain issues that these issues must be things that concern the people because you are working for the people. That's what it's supposed to be. You are not the master under normal society. You are the servant of the people. If you are the servant of the people, you should be able to render accountability of what you did and what you did not do. And it's not left for the people by casting their votes. They are now telling you, yes, you did very well. We love your performance. Go ahead and continue. Or no, we don't like your performance. Let another person try.
Would you expect the president to make a statement or take action to ensure that the Osun State governorship elections are devoid of violence?
To some extent, the president is handicapped for making certain
Is
statements.
he?
Yes.
No, he's
do you know
chief
why?
security officer.
I know, but
of
do you
the
know why
nation.
he's handicapped?
Why?
Because when you create an atmosphere of disunity, because I remember during the last election, before the last election that brought in the president was telling some people, go there, take the ballot box,
He said, grab
it, do whatever you can do. You grab it by force.
Yeah.
When a president makes this kind of statements in the past, what are you expecting? And that is what
But that doesn't make him.
I know, but he gives the party member the temerity to be doing what they are doing.
But he's still within his right to also.
Definitely.
Even
Even the president just needed to direct the necessary authority, like the police, IG, please go there, make sure the right things are done. That's it. But when he keeps quiet like this, it looks as if there's some element of latent things going behind.
But for you, don't you think that aside Demola Deleke coming out to talk about what's playing out, don't you think that this is the right opportunity for him to also tell the people what he has done in his administration, and then also encourage the people to come out and vote for him? Because that's what we should be seeing out there in the media.
Yes. Everybody is doing the thing the wrong way, actually. And Ebola Adeleke at this time should be able to be telling people, look at what I did, look at what I did, look at what I did. And this makes me to come out again for the ask for your votes to remain as your governor. And the other parties, the other persons should be there. If you're a former minister, should be able to be coming out to tell you, look what I've done as a minister, look what I did when I was not a minister, look what I did, look what I'm gonna do when I step in there. And it will make the election look more organized, look more reasonable. But they started on the wrong footing by indirectly intimidating the people. And after intimidating the people, then whoever organizes his own clout more to come out to vote probably will not carry the day. That's exactly what they're trying to do. But I believe that the whole thing is at this boiling point because the West most times tends to take these elections as a do or die affair. Most times, and for the very fact that the president comes from the West too, it will look as if it is a slight if his party fails in his region. So that's why this tension is so high there. Because other, like Anambra State have conducted their own election, it's not like this. The IG and the rest of them were there, making sure that things were properly organized. So I don't see why they shouldn't take the same steps, even bring in the army, the NSA, whoever, make sure that this thing is peaceful. We will enforce it.
So for you to say that the president is handicapped, you believe that all is fair in politics?
Yes, because I say so because if you advocate for certain anomaly in the past, you cannot be blowing hot and cold. You cannot tell somebody to slap somebody, then when another person tries to slap and say no, it's bad. Definitely, you might not have the moral right to say that anymore because you've already advocated for violence. And after advocating for violence, you can't come back again to tell another person, no, do not do whatever you're asking them to do in the past.
Let's go for our news break, Dr. Negre. We'll return and continue this conversation. It's interesting scenes playing out in Ocean State. Not so heartwarming for voters who are anticipating to participate in that election. But let's go for the news break. When we return, we'll hear what our parliamentarians have to say.
Good morning and welcome to Urban Radio News Update in 94.5 seconds. I am Chioma Owasondo. Operatives of the Enugu State Police Command have rescued 4 kidnapped victims in 2 separate intelligence-led operations conducted within Enugu State and across the Benue State border, and recovered live ammunition and other incriminating exhibits. The primate of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Henry Ndukoba, has urged Nigerian youths not to serve as political thugs ahead of the 2027 general elections. The Senate has assured Nigerians that work on the harmonization of the state police bill would continue during the National Assembly's annual recess to facilitate the proposed constitutional amendment. The federal government has approved a financing framework and a set of institutional reforms to accelerate the electrification of health facilities across the country, with the target of providing reliable 24-hour electricity to at least 30% of Nigeria's health facilities by the end of 2027. President Bola Tinubu has approved a salary increase of between 30 and 80% for personnel of the Nigerian Armed Forces. In sports, Nigeria will be aiming to secure a place on the knockout stage of the ongoing Women's African Cup of Nations WAFCON when they face Egypt today. On entertainment, Afrobeat singer Davido has claimed that no one can defeat him in a free and fair election in Nigeria if he decides to run for a political office. You're up to the minute in 94.5 seconds. I am Chioma Omasaka. In the capital of the
yes, and then come back.
Okay, no problem.
Yes. Welcome back. Still the Urban Parliament on Urban Radio 94.5 FM. This morning we are looking again at Osun State as we count down to the governorship elections. August 15 is the date. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has called out the president saying he should hold his men, that they are trying to intimidate them in Osun State, and warned of 1983 repeating itself in Osun. All right, we've talked to a reporter in Osun State. The secretary of the NUJ in the state spoke to us to, to give us a feel of what the atmosphere is like in the state, and then we also have a guest in house.
Barrister Dr. Chidi Aniakwa is an international legal attorney and a human rights advocate. Both of them have spoken to us this morning. But we get the input of our parliamentarians this morning: 0916 0005945 or 0916 0004945. Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Like I said, good morning.
Karimo, welcome.
My good brother. I want to thank you again. I welcome you. So do very well. I'm not talking anymore. I come to Ogun in Anambra State. It's happening in Osun State. It's very pathetic. This is dictatorship with the face of democracy. We are not a democracy. The president said it in inauguration address, the so-called June 12th. Said that we are 27 years of a civilian rule. He didn't mention democracy because he knows that we are not democracy. So some of these people that are doing this, they cannot even define what democracy is all about. Democracy is all about the people, the welfare of the people, and the happiness of the people. But that's why it's not in their backyard. They don't care. So whatever thing they do is to their selfish interest. If not, why should election in Osun State be a do or die affair? Without putting the interest of people first. What they should be doing is to give that state free and fair election. Who is popular among the people is going to win. So in that case here, that is not what they are taking. What they are taking is to grab it and run away with it as their main percent. And he said in the election, everything works. So in the election, you can kill, you can shoot, you can carry out buses, and it's a good thing. That's what the president told us. But this is what is happening on the short state. Will be a yardstick on what is going to happen 227. But God forbid that these people kill democracy. Because these are the people that fought as opposition before against Jonathan and the rest of them. And now they have succeeded. And they're doing the same thing those people did. Even worse. Buhari told us that are going to miss him. And some of the people are missing Buhari now. But I can never miss Buhari. But what is system today? Because the administration of Buhari is more better than what is happening now. Don't pretend about it. They are doing this as if they said that Nigeria doesn't matter. They are forced to the corner, they can do anything they like. But they should remember that God is with us. I'm at your carry more.
Thank you very much for calling in. 0916 0005945. Sending messages to our WhatsApp line is 09128 945 945. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, my name is Osman, the temporary teacher in the Islamic government area of Enugu. This issue of political tension going on in Osun State is uncalled for, and it should not started in the first place. So the issue of election is not to do or die. People are the electors are the power holders. Let them give them right to choose whoever they want to choose. Because I know the reason why this issue of political tension is going on in Osun State is that those ruling parties, yes, they want to intimidate people. They want a situation whereby people will not come out during the election, so that they will now manipulate and rig the election as they like. I could remember the incident that happened to me when I served as presiding officer during 2011 presidential election. I took part in both the presidential election, governorship, senatorial, House of Rep, and then the State House of Assembly. Yes, I know when the politicians, when they brought money for me in the ground was good and asked me to read both the presidential, the senatorial, House of Rep, governorship, and and State House of Assembly in Katsina State. I rejected. I said I can't leave the election of my 2 minutes, and I stood on my ground. As at the when they said, I went and saw all the ballots, both ballots and counted it in their presence. They were taking a they even told me that the people that did not come out to vote, that I should, after giving them money, I should allow them, I'll give them ballot papers.
All right.
I voted that. I rejected all of them. So I'm advising core members in that state and the people reject to their money. So tell them that the past belongs to you. And don't give election to anybody. They can't do anything.
All right.
And they cover that mandate for them. They won't do it. They won't do anything because they use fear and intimidation to intimidate people. They can't do anything. Stand on your ground and you change the laws with social government.
All right. All right.
They have nothing to offer.
Thank you, Osmond. Hello. Good morning. Chief, welcome. Go ahead.
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you. Go ahead.
We started this program this morning with the playing of recording of Mandela
Yeah.
in campaign, and he was saying, Mr. President, Yoruba, I'm going to put you, but please allow us to have a free and fair election because your people are creating problems. And if you don't allow a free and fair election, what happened in Ajasi's time will happen again. And what happened in Ajasi's time? People wanted to ring the man out, and the other person said, no, you can't do that. There was violence. That was several weeks ago. Then recently, last week, the conference of bishops came to Bishop to President with the same request. We played it and they said, let us have a free and fair election because that's the only thing that guarantees good election. The president, in the first case, the president did not say. In the second one, he answered the same request by different people at different times, but one answer to the two questions. And Mr. President came to us, all is there in politics. And we are trying to, that is a simple thing. All the good, the bad, and ugly are good in politics, are fair in politics. That's a start. And that is, I believe, the answer to anti-election.
Okay.
Now let us go back to the arrest. I don't know whether you are affected in Osun State private. I thought they had changed that police from what I hear from other people. I thought they have replaced it.
Yes.
But these are all cheatings. Kagazi and Choma. The issue is that President Tinubu and APC want to take over Osun State by force. And that's why I am security officer. Look at the arrest. You don't arrest people, you are sure now evidence of why you arrest. The arrested said they are related. How about those national who come from and call party which is part of police of government? Are they talking about another question? What are they not talking about? You listen to their interview. APC man, the same people who must come from APC. These people still in detention. They've stayed there for more than 1 week. The law says you don't stay in detention for more than 24 hours before they arrest you. It is the shenanigans of bad governance, of the determination by this government to take over Nigeria without competition, and we should keep let's call it a bell. This is what I'm worrying about. I sit down and cry on media. Let us keep it clear. What is wrong with these people?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Ndukaya. Thank you for joining us. Let's go pay bills. Let's go on a commercial break. We'll be right back to take more calls. Stay tuned.
94.5 Urban Radio Enugu. We're taking a look at what's playing out in OSUN State ahead of the governorship election on August 15, with the current governor, Ademola Adeleke, declaring that the state will not accept any attempts to rig the forthcoming election in the state and urged President Tinubu to prevent a repeat of the 1983 electoral crisis. The governor said his supporters are being killed and some of them are being intimidated, and he alleged that the police had been compromised, and urged the president to direct security agencies to concentrate on tackling kidnappers and other criminals rather than intimidating innocent people. He also, that's Governor Adeleke, reminded President Tinubu that he had called party had endorsed him for the 2027 presidential election, and questioned why, despite the endorsement, his supporters were allegedly being killed and the state subjected to hardship. We've spoken to our reporter in Osun State, who is the NUJ Secretary, Osun State Chapter, Mr. Olalekun Akindoji, who has given us an on-the-spot assessment of what's playing out in Osun State in the build-up to election. And our analyst here in the studio, barrister Dr. Chidi Anyekwe, has spoken to us, is an international legal attorney and a human rights advocate. Both of them have spoken to us this morning. We'll get more views from our parliamentarians this morning. 0916 0005945 or 0916 0004945. Sending messages to our WhatsApp line. It's 09128 Good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Yes, I greet all of you in the studio.
Very much. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Thank you, my dear. This is the voice of Amos, as usual. I am reaching you here from my hometown in Komoro, which is located in Inyaba, the women's center of Ebonyi State. Yes, I think the discussion about the political development in Osun State this morning is very, very germane, in the sense that what is playing out in Osun State is quite very, very unpalatable. Okay? And you can agree with me that this can be attributed to desperation for power. Yes. Because I have often said that our politicians are quite very, very vindictive. Right? And I must tell you that the issue in Osun State, you know, is a microcosm of what we have seen so far in the country. Okay? But I have always advocated that if you say that you are popular, you know, it should be proven through the ballot papers. I mean, through the vote that is cast for you, and not by intimidation. Okay? And meanwhile, I want to say that the figure given out by the governor, the people that have been killed, this is a government figure. I don't really believe that this is the actual figure that has been killed so far in Osun State in the build up to this election. And this political hooliganism is quite very, very unfortunate in the history of our democracy. You understand me? So the point I'm trying to make is that it's a high time that our politicians should abhor anything hooliganism in our politics. If you say that you are popular, please come out and prove it to the people through your track record.
All right, Amos, thank you for calling in 0916 0005945. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, Chama, everybody for particular, I greet your guests.
Everybody. All right.
All these things that you are saying, that what normally see political, especially off-season election in most states. You know, but this one is so high because there is, the people in power, the ABC candidate was the former governor that this guy, the Accord Party candidate defeated.
Yeah.
You know, so you want to come back by all means, back, Mr. President.
No, it's not the same person. It's not the same person.
Okay, it's not the same person.
Yeah, Oyetola was governor that lost to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. But the fact is that all these things are happening because of body language of the Mr. President. You see, when somebody tell you that everything is fair in politics, grow everywhere. And the sitting governor, because of interest, because of pressure, because of our political scenario are not certain now, that you know that even if you do well as a governor, that you will not win election if you don't belong to a ruling party. Must plead allegiance to. Have you seen this before? Yeah. During PDP, can you see governors in other parties pleading allegiance to their party, not to the person in power? But because of the way things are moving now, you see a sitting governor that have done very well as by his own calculation and by the people that are living there. But he's pledging allegiance to Abuja because he wants. But look at the local government here that was decided. You know, money that's supposed to come to the local government. You see the whole thing. Lawlessness. You see arrogance in power. You see, not happening to rule of law. And you tell me these people are Democrats. They're not Democrats because a Democrat will like free and fair election is one of the tenets of a democracy.
All right.
You use every means, you use state institution, the police, you use them to arrest this person, arrest or intimidate them. And the governor is threatening violence. You understand? It was no war. These people should allow free and fair. Why are they so much afraid of free and fair election? Why are they not, if they are democrats indeed, do this fairly. They don't believe in fairness. They don't believe in free and fair election. You know, there was everybody bound control to their, and now free and fair election. Come on,
All right, AD boy.
I'm not saying for them to manipulate.
All right,
I'm
AB.
not saying allow free and fair election.
Thank you for your time. Yeah. Thank you. God bless you too, AB boy. God bless you. Thank you. We will take a look at some of the messages that we have on WhatsApp. We understand that we have a couple of them, so let's take a look at them quickly before we get back to our guest.
Good morning, Auburn. If these politicians are not careful from what I'm seeing, we might be returned to the military rule. Peter from Abakaliki. Good morning, Auburn Radio. The analyst in the studio is talking about reducing the salary of governors, and I laugh. Governors don't have anything to do with salaries but the security votes. Do you know each state governor receives close to 1 billion per month? Collins from Anambra State. Good morning, Yagazi Chama, and your guest, Mr. Olalekon, who joined virtually, and Barrister Chilu is in the studio. Eke Henry Chinozo texting from the city. In as much as I support Governor Delegate's call for free and fair election, I disagree with him. Disagree with one part of his statement when he said, Mr. President, you're a Yoruba man and Osun is Yoruba land. My question is, if this were happening in another state that is not Yoruba land, would it then be acceptable? No state in Nigeria deserves intimidation, abuse of power, or electoral manipulation. Justice should not depend on ethnicity or religion, whether it is Osun, Enugu, Imo, Kano, Rivers, or any other state. Every Nigerian deserves a free, fair, and credible election. Let's be careful not to frame the issue in a way that suggests it matters more because it is happening in Yoruba land. It matters because it's happening in Nigeria, and every Nigerian deserves equal protection under the law. More messages here. Good morning, the parliamentarians. With what is going on in Osun State and from what some state governors are doing, for instance, imposing millions of naira tax on all the parties to put up billboard adverts of their political parties, the sealing of the venues of all the political parties that may wish to use the facility in the state are always of heightening, geared towards heightening political tensions. If this continues without checks, I have the fear that the 2027 election will not be fair. Voter intimidation and apathy is glaring. Arod Awaji from Okata. A man who swore not to protect the constitution of the nation and discharge his duty without fear or favor said that all is fair in politics. How then can we trust the system, allow Osun people to breathe? It is within our constitutional rights to choose who will rule or lead us, and that is the only way to go. Politicians should stop forcing themselves to us. Good morning, Chijoke from Enugu. Good morning, Yagazi Chairman, the guest in the studio, Isaac from Gariki. I thank the both guests for saying the truth this morning. The issue is that APC prefers anarchy to orderliness. Opposition parties should be allowed to thrive because the beauty of democracy is the opposition and the ability of the people to make their choice in the democratic system. But here in Nigeria, APC has ruined everything. Let the president ensure that the upcoming Osun election is free and fair. The people of Osun should be allowed to make their choice until we get it right. If not, we'll continue to be in difficulties. Good morning. It baffles me that this type of thing is still happening at a level of human development. The world is moving forward, but Governor Adeleke is a man the way he spoke. He reminded the president of Ondo in 1983, Chief Akin Oborowo lost all he had. Okay, Omoborowo lost all he had, his wife, all his children, and probably his house and home. It starts like this. NSAS protests that touched every part of the country started a police misbehavior at a quiet village in Delta State. Any ugly happening in Osun can spark off terrible consequences over the country. People are angry everywhere, and the president told the bishops that everything is fair in politics. I am afraid we God help us. Benjamin from Nara. Good morning, Urban Radio. If anyone is still in doubt how elections in Nigeria under the current administration would be handled, including the 2026 election in Osun State, the person should please go and study the Tinubu meaning of all is fair in politics and the Tinubu political philosophy of grab it, snatch it, and run with it. When we grasp both very well, it will be obvious to us where all the election results are going. Joseph from Enugu.
All right, read out the remaining few. This one says, good morning, Legacy and Chairman, the guest in the house. Thanks for the topic that was brought up. It's rather unfortunate what is happening in Osun State. If anyone says the president is not aware, it's a lie, and so Governor Adeleke should stop trying to get the president's sympathy. Rather, he should try and do all he can to make sure that Osun people rally around him with that no amount of intimidation or weakened will. The Yoruba people are people that are dogged in whatever they set their hearts to do. Thank you. This is Sam from Uboa. This one says, good morning. Intimidation has been weak point to disorganized opposition contesting for political positions in Nigeria. My question is, as federal police are functioning this way, if state police is established, are we safe? Are we safe? Emeka from Abamanike. All right. So this one says, good morning. Nigerians should henceforth stop expecting free, fair, and credible elections in the country. Nigeria is already a captured state. How can we expect free, fair, and credible election in Nigeria when people are being massacred on a daily basis with impunity by terrorists sponsored by the same government? We expect to grant us free, fair, and credible election. All the citizens are subjects of modern day slavery. Why are we so focused on what's happening in Osun State? What's happening in Osun State can happen in any state in the country. We can never have free, fair, and credible election in Nigeria until the citizens rise up and decide to take back their destiny. This is Delibe Onyama Jr. All right, those are the messages this morning. We'll get back to our guest here, Barrister Dr. Anyekwe Chidi. A lot of takes from our parliamentarians. They've said a lot of things. Some of them re-echoed the things that you already mentioned here. But that particular statement by the president, all is fair in politics, is something that remains controversial. People believe that politics should be played in a more gentle, manly way. Going forward, we're in 2026 for crying out loud. What do you expect from our politics going forward? Do you see hope for, improved electioneering, or do you think that we're going down a slippery slope?
Most since President during the time of Obasanjo, it's not like during the time of
But there was violence during those elections in 2003, 2007.
That's what I'm saying. Those periods are not really like this because we still have president, we still have a lot of big governors. They are not really playing the politics the way it is now. And nobody is intimidating or encouraging anybody to join another party. Because what we are now seeing is that almost 32 governors are now in APC. And some other governors that are not in APC are still advocating for the president. Like the Abia State governor, the Anambra State governor, now they are so if everybody now joins a political party, then what happens to the country? What happens to the people? How are we guaranteed the transparency in democracy? How do we guarantee transparency in democracy? if everybody joins a political party, because definitely it is no more democracy we are playing. We're just having a civil rule. That's all it's going to be. And we're not supposed to run the country like that. And we are not designed. Nigeria is not designed for one party state rule.
Yeah.
Nigeria is designed for
Multi-party.
multi-party rules. So we must be able to play politics without bitterness. Play politics as a game of chance, a game of luck, a game of numbers, because we are not expecting a particular political party to control everywhere. And besides the parties, most times people are supposed to be controlling the individuals. That's the utmost important thing. The individuals, if a particular party decides to bring out an idiot, will everybody vote for the person because it comes from that particular party? No. That is why you allow the people to look at these candidates and vote for people of their choice. Because once these elections are come and gone, then we are now looking at these individuals. How do they contribute to the society? How do they carry out their duties as the governor, the president, the senator, the House of Representatives, and whatever? Because this is what we want. For we to make headway in this country, for this country to be developed, we should be able to have an atmosphere where fairness, justice, maturity, morality will come to play.
Okay. All right. So if you were Ademola Adeleke, because somebody wrote a message said you should stop appealing to the president because the president is already fully aware of what's happening in Osun State, and he, might have even asked them to go ahead with it. If you were Ademola Adeleke and you feel that your supporters are going to be disenfranchised in the elections, what would you do now as the sitting governor? What would you ask him to do to make sure that that election gives everybody a level playing field?
Actually, what they needed to do is to make sure that they have credible party members representing them at each polling ward. You have to make sure that when these votes are cast, you make sure that these votes are counted before your agents and properly documented in necessary EC forms from INEC and copies collected from them, so that these informations might not be changed somewhere along the line. But my greatest worry is not even from these people, it's from those organizing these elections, like the INEC, the police, the army, and all that. If these organizations does what they ought to do, the politicians will not have the way, they do not have the leeway to do whatever they want to do. It's just because when these people allows them, then they tend to do what they want to do. I think that is why they are not really trying to better the standard of living of most of these security agencies. Because when you abroad, these guys, they have all the facilities they need. Government guarantees them, if you need a mortgage, car loan, things like that.
Yeah.
When you have all the necessities around you, you might not be interested in all these pennies the politicians will give to you. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case. I believe that's why they keep on provision the people, so that the people will continue to do what they want. If you look at who is you to come and start telling somebody to come and slap somebody there to carry the ballot on? Nobody will. They will see you as an idiot. They will see you like a fool, because it is an aberration on that side.
All right, let's turn down the language. Thank you so much, Barrister. Thank you for your time. It's unfortunate what we see happening. About 30 people that the APC said have lost their lives in 2022. The Accord Party also alleging that many people have lost their lives and are, languishing in jail because of all of the politicking that is happening right now. But we hope that we see an election that is devoid of violence at the end of the day. Let's see if INEC waits in, gets them to sign a peace accord or something, and then everybody shoots their sword and go into the election and wait for the electorates to decide. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barrister Dr. Chibi Anyagwa, international legal attorney and human rights advocate. Thank you for joining us on today's session. And to our reporter who joined us, or to the NUJ secretary who joined us virtually, he's Osun State chapter of the NUJ, Mr. Olalekon Kindoju. Thank you for your contributions this morning. And to our parliamentarians, thank you for your active participation. We'll be here tomorrow 9 a.m.